Hi everybody. This is the last of the NFC East. I know the video that came out today on the 17th was the Redskins, and so we're going on to the Giants. We're going to finish the NFC East, then we're going to move to the AFC North and start covering those four teams. This one, the New York Giants, are an interesting team. Eli Manning retired in the offseason, which is sad. Brink Hall of Fame player. And if he doesn't make it in the Hall, people are going to be angry. If he does make it, people are going to be angry. So it's tossed in the air, if he will. He took 2 Super Bowls away from Tom Brady, and ruined a possible perfect season, which it would have been if they'd won the Super Bowl. So definitely somebody. I mean, people would say he got carried in some of those games. I would say he did his part to help them win. But we're finally going to get to see Daniel Jones as a starter for a full year next year. I have no confidence that Colt McCoy will come in and start at all. And that will be exciting because Daniel Jones is not a bad quarterback, but he hasn't quite lived up to the number 6 pick. He's better than the number 2 pick, looking at you Bears. Wasted on a starting quarterback. But Daniel Jones should be able to go in there and start right away. Which brings me into, I guess, the first talking point, that Saquon Barkley, I mean, it's a prediction. Saquon Barkley will probably lead the NFL in rushing yards next year because they have such a good running O-line, run blocking. Pass blocking is not really what they're good at. They brought in Andrew Thomas. I'll get into them in a minute. They brought in Andrew Thomas, the rookie, who's a great run blocker. So I could definitely see them doing a lot more running, more than they normally have been. But they will probably bring in another running back to be their backup because I don't see any other running back on that roster that could fill in and have the same explosive punch that Saquon does. Which brings me to my next point: who's their weapon at wide receiver? Because they're going to have to throw at some point. Daniel Jones isn't going to go 0 for 0 the entire season. They have Golden Tate. He was on the Lions, then he went to the Eagles, and now he's on the Giants. He had part of a year last year to learn, and this is going to be his full year. This is going to be when he proves himself. So he really needs to. He's getting up there in age. He's 30, and he's not going to get any younger. And if he wants to stay that number 1 wide receiver, he needs to prove himself. They also brought in Sterling Shepard. Good number 2 option, but I wouldn't trust him to be my starter at number 2. I'd probably have him coming in third down to catch. Definitely wouldn't trust him all the time. Then they have Cody Core. Probably don't know who that is. He's solid. He can catch at least. But we're going to have to see. They'll probably bring in some more wide receivers during training camp to bolster their numbers, and they'll probably end up cutting some of them. Of course, they have Evan Ingram in the 5th year of his rookie deal. I think that's what they signed him to. And he'll be looking to get some big bucks from them because they definitely don't want to let him go because he is he's their best part of the offense besides Saquon. They also have Levine Toilolo. Probably butchered that, but he'll probably not make the roster because he's old and he's not good at blocking. He's only good at pass catching, and they really need a good blocking tight end. The way that their O-line's shaping up, we got Andrew Thomas at left tackle. They wouldn't have drafted him where they did for anything else but that. Will Hernandez, probably one of the best guards in the NFL right now. Definitely one in Madden you trade for because he's younger. And he always progresses more in that game, but in real life he's progressing every year. Then they bring in Kevin Zeitler. He came from the Browns 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, he got traded for Odell Beckham. He was part of that trade. Kevin Zeitler is a great run blocking, not so good at pass blocking. He's 30-something years old, so he has maybe a year or 2 left of good productivity before he starts slumping back down. They have Nate Solder, who was playing left tackle, now moving to right tackle, where he should be. Of course, they had that whole Eric Flowers fiasco where they, drafted him a couple years ago. He's gone, and he's getting better, but he's gone. Nate Solder now moves over to right tackle. He's probably going to teach Andrew Thomas a good bit about left tackle, some power moves to help keep the not Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry, y'all. Starts with DeMarcus Lawrence's across from him from getting to the quarterback as frequently. Keep Fletcher Cox at bay. But then when we get to their center is really where it's confusing. They only have one center on their roster. Now, granted, that's the ESPN rosters that I'm going off of to keep it consistent. But Spencer Pulley, not very good. He's getting up there in age. He's a great veteran to have on the team. He's sort of like Richie Incognito for the Raiders, where he probably shouldn't be in the NFL anymore, or well, in Richie's case, but for Spencer, he's sort of a middleman, a needs to an end. They won't, he'll meet the need, but he won't outperform Will Hernandez. He'll let up more sacks than Will. He'll let up more sacks than Kevin, because he's not as good. But then they also drafted Shane Lemieux. He's a guard, but I could see them moving him to center, which is why they would draft him. I'm pretty sure he came from Oregon because, Oregon pumped out, Calvin Throckmorton and Shane Lemieux. Actually, let me look that up real quick. Let me look that up because I'm not 100% positive, and I don't want to be feeding y'all false information. Shane Lemieux. Yep, guard from Oregon. So I was correct. I'm glad I was correct. But he will definitely challenge Spencer for a center position. Or I could see them moving Zeitler to center, honestly, and putting Shane at guard. But that's pretty much their whole offense. Their O-line's not terrible, but they're not going to excite anybody next year. They're going to be just, hard-nosed hitting O-linemen, which will be good. But that gives way for their defense to be spectacular. And their defense doesn't look terrible. They got Dexter Lawrence at defensive end, defensive tackle, Leonard Williams coming back, and B.J. Hill. All three of them are solid. They're definitely not, Cameron Jordan, Aaron Donald, and Daniil Hunter, but they're definitely serviceable, and they'll definitely make an impact this year. They could probably, if you're looking at the Redskins O-line when they go up against Chase Roulier, I could see B.J. Hill getting some sacks, and also they have Dalvin Tomlinson, who I didn't write down, but Dalvin and B.J. playing defensive tackle, and then you have Dexter and Leonard at end. You got yourself some pretty good pass rush there. And then you add in Blake Martinez from the Packers, Kyler Fackrell from the Packers. Both of them are rushing the quarterback, or Kyler and Blake can both play a little bit of off ball, on either side of the line, linebacking core. And they'll be good. They have Mayo, who's sort of stepped up as a veteran, and he will definitely be, their middle linebacker, keeping the middle secured. But Kyler and Blake, definitely they're your two outside who can rush, but they will probably be mostly in coverage. You have Jabril Peppers, great safety, part of the Odell trade. Yeah, he was part of the Odell trade, because I know he came from the Browns. Jabril Peppers, great safety, holds down free safety and strong safety if you need him to. But then they also drafted Xavier McKinney. McKinney will probably move to strong safety. They'll give him a shot there. Xavier McKinney, first-round talent. Probably my top safety off the board. When I had them drafting, I had Grant Delpit going first round, then Xavier, but Xavier was the better one. I just thought, in that instance, Grant Delpit was the fit for the team. But Xavier McKinney, gonna be great. Probably will start because he has that push. Cornerbacks, you just had probably your number one get arrested not too long ago for armed robbery. He turned himself in 16th of May for armed robbery. So he probably won't play a single snap for the rest of his career if he's found guilty. If he's found not guilty, he might come back. But that's definitely, foolish. You're getting paid millions to play football. Why would you rob a bank? And of course, Quinton Dunbar also got arrested for that too. So I wouldn't feel, too bad if you're a Giants fan. Seahawks also got the short end of the stick. But that brings in Corey Ballantyne. He'll be a great slot corner if you need him to be. He can also play. He's fast. And you also have James Bradberry from the Panthers, who's a great veteran presence. He's sort of like Janoris Jenkins was for a while. He'll bring the oomph that you need. He can play. He'll probably be up against your number one receiver on the other team. So Scary Terry against James Bradberry. That's a pretty good matchup. Amari Cooper, James Bradberry. Probably going to get roasted a couple times. Let's see. Then you have Jalen Reagor. Nope, sorry. Alshon Jeffrey versus James Bradberry. That could work. You also have Julian Love. Y'all brought in last year, drafted him. Extremely solid at your safeties. Not what I would have as an ideal starting cornerback group. I definitely would try to trade. I'd bring in somebody. There's Dre Kirkpatrick. You don't want Eli Apple back, but Dre Kirkpatrick is out there. You could always bring him in, and he would be a great veteran there too to play slot corner. Your kicker's fine. Your punter is fine. I mean, punters and kickers are pretty much interchangeable unless you're the Bears. So that's really all I have. Next, we move on to AFC North, and I'll probably start with the Bengals there because they're the most interesting team. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Bennett Ferguson, and hopefully this was a lot better.